had one client who started a whole second business and then had his wife running it because we built the custom GPTs. And he's like, they totally talk like me, they sound like me, but she does it all, and I'm still going hiking.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our first guest on Behind the Build, Dawn. Dawn is a good friend, a mother, a copywriter, a published author, a GPT builder, and everything in between. So I'm really excited to have you as our first guest. And did I forget anything? Do you want to make a quick introduction of yourself to add on top?
I think you about covered it. I'm an up and coming rebelpreneur. Although I think, yeah, the rebel's been in me for a few years.
When you say the rebel's been in you for a few years, can you elaborate on that? Because I think this might interest a lot of people here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in actually a ministry, a full-time ministry situation. So a little bit more than a 9 to 5. Um, and I wanted to stay home to raise my daughter.
Mm.
And it got to the point where in the beginning I would just bring her with me, she'd be strapped to me and I did everything and just brought her to the office or I worked from home and that was fine. And then after she was about a year and a half, leadership came in and it's a whole story, but the quick version is they wouldn't allow me to do that anymore. And that's when I started Googling work from home. I found a digital marketing course for $99, even though like this was back in the day where I still had a flip phone. Like I was very much a technophobe, like had no idea. I still don't know how to turn on the TV, which my husband laughs at me for because now I can build funnels, program GPTs, and I can't work the TV. But that's okay because working the TV does not make me money. So, um, yeah, that's kind of how I stumbled into it. I say I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I just wanted to be home with my kid. I'm a fierce, fierce mama bear, and I don't regret it for a second. So they were the organization I worked for, like they provided a home and cars, and my husband and I both worked for them. So it was very much a like all-inclusive situation that was very tough to escape out
Mm.
of. And we did. And I started my business and was able to raise my daughter. And it's been amazing. I mean, there's lots of bumps in the road. It has not been rainbows and unicorns the whole time. Like, definitely had the roller coaster of income and some very low months at times. But, we had family and that's my top value. So it's kind of been my North Star of willing to sacrifice other things in order to live the life that I want. So I feel like I was a rebel back then in that I didn't want somebody telling me how to raise my kid, how much time I could spend with my kid, all those things. I was like, no, like this is my kid, and I didn't have a kid to have someone else raise her and spend most of the day every day with her. So that's when uh, I call it my Incredible Hulk moment. I met with the leadership at the time and they laughed at me and they said, what would you possibly do if you didn't work for us? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out because you are not nice. And my kid is more important than anything else in this world. So that's where the rebellious streak in me like really came forth. And I haven't looked back since. And that was, let's see, 2017 was when I was laughed at and mocked for wanting to be home with my kid. And we left in 2018, and the rest is history.
Mm. Mm. I love that. This is so wholesome. And I just wanted to say, Dawn, that you are a big inspiration for me, okay? In many aspects, we had the chats before, and I look up to you, how you are prioritizing family and your kid, and really how you're aligning business to fit your lifestyle instead of your lifestyle fitting your business. And I mean, as an upcoming parent myself, getting the first kid by the end of this month, I'm definitely going to reach out to you for many more tips. But I do find you as a great inspiration and the essence of what I wanted to build when I was thinking about rebelpreneurs, right? Having this lifestyle that we choose and we lead, and then everything else adapts to it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'm so passionate about that too. And like I mentioned, some months were very low income. And so I
Mm.
think having like what you're building and teaching people to create not only the lifestyle freedom, but enough financially to not be, to still be able to buy groceries and travel when you want and that sort of thing. So it's not one without the other, which is why I'm so excited about the Rebelpreneur community and what you're doing is because people they do want to save time so they have more time with their kids, but then, not sacrificing your financial well-being for that time, if that makes sense. Like you're building something that's going to be both. So I'm just thrilled to
Yeah,
be part of it.
makes total sense for me, right? Because as altruistic as we want to be, I mean, money is still spinning the world, money is still paying the bills, buying the groceries. So a lot of that freedom is hidden in the money. But from my perspective, and being a consultant and earning more in the past, is money alone does not make you happy. It is important how you're making that money and what you're doing with the time. And I feel like you are the perfect example of that, right? Being comfortable in a way to be able to provide for yourself, for your family financially, but also finding and prioritizing those moments that really matter in 10, 20, 30 years, being with your daughter, seeing her walk, seeing her first dance recital and so on and so forth, right? So I'm super excited that you're my guest. I think my first guest, you're the best pick, honestly. And that being said, I would really I know that I told you before that this is going to be a little bit casual, but I also want to teach readers something, either not readers, watchers. So either about AI, building leverage, freedom. So whatever you want, just share it. You can speak, you can share the screen. Everything goes here.
Sweet. Yeah. I mean, I love talking about AI, as you know,
I love it.
and I'm happy to share my screen if there's specific things you want to know about. I think, I laugh because I'm not super techy, and my husband still laughs at me about that. But so that's the first thing is like, even if you're not techie, because of how far AI has come, it's for everyone.
Mm,
Really, truly, anybody can do it. And the second thing is, you know, some people are very resistant to AI, even still. I think I was up until a year ago, August. So it really hasn't been that long that I, took the pill and came over to the dark side. Um, no, as a copywriter, and I've been copywriting since 2019. So, I used to write everything myself. And um, changing and watching ChatGPT come on the scene. And, at first it was pretty crappy, as we all knew in the beginning. And, being very much like, yeah, that's not for me. I was already fast. Like I just work fast anyways. And I was like, well, I'm fast and I'm good. So I don't need AI. I really resisted for a long time until just over a year ago. Like it's been 15 months really since I started using ChatGPT at all. Like I didn't even have a paid account until last year. So, um, but then I saw the power of going from, like 45 minutes. I had this client that I really struggled with. It was black hair loss for women over 50 and started using ChatGPT because the emails were taking me too long and I was frustrated. And I could write the emails in 3 minutes. And then I literally saw revenue double, which
mm,
was very humbling. Number one. Number two, I was like, okay, I'm sold. Like, this is the future. I can't beat it. Therefore, I'm going to join it. And that was a turning point for me of saying, okay, I started taking courses. I started learning how to prompt better, buying a bunch of prompt templates and things like that. Although I will say, like, your prompt template guide was like the best of anything because then you can write them
appreciate it.
yourself. You're not just buying a ton of template packs over and over and over because they're templates for different things. Like you have in ChatGPT Mastery had an outline for how to write them yourself, which I think is amazing. And then, of course, Chat can help you do that too. But when you have the template, it's like the difference between giving a man a fish and teaching him how to fish.
Mm,
So, yeah. And then in April, I took a course on custom GPTs, and that just blew my mind. and I got super nerdy into custom GPTs, making them for everything. And I know you love them as well. And I mean, mainly I was using them for copywriting components. So like an ads one, a social content creator, an email copywriter, those sorts of things. And then creating what I call the Voiceprint System, which is a team of 8 GPTs. And at this point in time, I've installed more than 2 dozen of those for business owners, where I put together, these 8 GPTs that do, there's 3 strategists and 5 copywriters, and most business owners don't need beyond that, right? I know you have so many GPTs and you could really nerd out, but if we're talking about the average business owner, they don't need 50 custom GPTs for, every tiny part of their business, at least at this point, because most people are not that saturated with AI. And so it was like a, almost a minimum viable product for epic results for the average person is kind of how I looked at it and was like, okay, I can sell these teams and install them and blow people's minds. I mean, I had one client who started a whole second business and then had his wife running it because we built the custom GPTs, and he's like, they totally talk like me, they sound like me, but she does it all and I'm still going hiking. He's just, he's living the dream, the revelpreneur dream, with a whole second business in a different state because the GPTs are doing all the heavy lifting for him. So he is like a prime example of a revelpreneur that's just doing his thing using the custom GPTs. And so, yeah, that's where I really shifted into building. Instead of me doing the writing for clients, I'd say, okay, well, I can build you this team, install it directly in your ChatGPT account, and then, it'll still save you hundreds of hours a month and not having to pay contractors every month to do it for you. Um, so that's been amazing. And then I taught a bunch of copywriters how to build these teams as well for themselves, because I was finding my team was saving me a minimum of 30 to 40 hours a week just with what I was doing for clients. So it was massive, which then gave me the time to, nerd out and build the GPT teams for other people. And yeah, like I said, then I taught other copywriters so that they could either sell it as a service or just use it for their own clients and save themselves time. I mean, just like what you talk about with ChatGPT Mastery, if you save time, technically speaking, that's also making you more money because you free up that time either to be with family while you're making the same amount of money, or you free up that time to create something else that you could sell or get a couple more clients. There's no way, like, people are always amazed at how much I do. They're like, oh, you're writing a novel and you're serving, half a dozen clients and you're running a house and raising a kid. And they're like, how do you do that all? I'm like, ChatGPT.
We know it. We know it. So much to unpack here. And this is also why I knew that you're going to be an amazing guest, Dawn. But maybe I want to narrow down a little bit here on custom GPTs, because from my perspective, they are the most underused feature of ChatGPT. Most people don't even know about it, and they all want to do this vibe coding and agents and everything, while they have this insanely good tool called Custom GPTs inside ChatGPT. You only pay $20 per month, and like you said, people are running different parts of businesses with them, maybe even whole new businesses like the guy you were mentioning before. And I had a lot of success with them. They're running big chunk of my business. I know you're doing the same. So I would like to a little bit understand what exactly, why you think people are not using them as much as they should, because that's a big question in my mind. And then second, how did you go about teaching the voice print system? So how did you build it? How did you fine tune it? How was the whole process? How the whole process looked like?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so much to unpack there. I think people don't use them, to go back to that question, because they just don't understand how good they can be. They think that AI is just AI. And there's a lot of ChatGPT generic garbage out there. The way I describe it to people is I say, okay, Chat GPT is like your general family practitioner that you would go to see, if you had a cold or, your yearly checkup or something. But if you needed heart surgery, you would not go to your general family doctor for heart surgery. You would go to the best heart surgeon in the country, or at least in your state, wherever you lived. You'd want to find the best heart surgeon. You would not trust your heart to somebody who did not study heart surgery in medical school. That would just be insane. And yet, we have all these business owners who are trusting generic AI with their brand and their business and their messaging. And no wonder the results are lackluster because
100%.
that's not what it's intended for. You think about I forget the number. I mean, there's like 1 billion users every day on ChatGPT or something crazy. And it's getting all of that information and it's using that voice and what it's getting from the whole internet and then giving it to you. And that's not your voice. That's not your brand. Why would you even expect it to be? So I think it's just because people don't realize that they actually could train and they'll tell me like, oh, well, I've been using ChatGPT for 5 or 6 months now, so it really knows my voice. I'm like,
No way.
no, it's still getting the input of the billion users every day. It does not know your voice. And so um that's what really makes a difference is like and we know that for the human body, whether it's heart surgery or brain surgery or eye surgery, we would go to a specialist for each of those things. So it's the same concept. And when I use that analogy, most people are like, "Oh, I get it now." When I say, "Okay, so wouldn't you want to go to a specialist that knows how to write viral hooks for ads? Or wouldn't you want a specialist in research to help you understand your ideal client? Or wouldn't you want a specialist for blog writing that knows SEO and can then get you clients if that's the way that you get your clients? Or book writing. As I shared before, I'm writing a novel and I created a custom GPT specific to the genre of books that I'm writing. And because you have the knowledge base in custom GPTs, which I'm happy to pull up my account and show people like what this looks like when you build. Because that's another thing too, is people are like, oh yeah, well, I built myself a custom GPT. And then I look at the instructions, and literally the instructions are like, you are an AI version of me, and I'm 35, and I'm a woman who likes this, this, and this, and you write like me. I'm like, that's not instructions.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's a vast difference in how you instruct the GPT, number one, and then what you add to the knowledge base. And you get 20 documents. So, like one document, for example, that I use for all my clients is I create a voice document. I had a client whose voice document was over 400 pages long
Mm.
because we were including blogs and transcripts and emails, and I wanted it to sound like him. And the only way to do that is to give chat enough to pull from. And I personally, I don't know if you've done this as well, like pulling written and spoken content because we tend to speak differently than we write. And so having a mixture of transcripts and written content that's not AI generated, ideally, and having that, you have one voice doc, and then you still get 19 other documents. Again, if we're going back to this analogy of a specialist, and each of those 19 documents can then be specialized in the thing that you're doing, like writing bullet points or headlines or all these different small tasks, just like we have this saying, I don't know if you have this saying where you are, but we say in America, like the jack of all trades, the master of none.
Mm. We say something
Like
similar in that.
if you're good at everything, then you're not great at anything. And that same concept is true for AI. Is AI awesome? Yes, it is. But if you give it a few instructions and tell it to be really awesome at a particular thing, it's
Mm.
going to blow your ever-loving mind at how good it is. I mean, I have clients who are like, that sounds exactly like me. Like
Mm.
I couldn't tell a difference between what a custom GPT generated and what they would generate. And I've even had a major publisher do a check on a custom GPT writing, and the conclusion was that there was zero generative AI, and it was completely AI generated, but it was custom GPTs, not basic AI. So those are the big differences. And I think people they just don't know. They just think that custom GPTs are the same as if they're talking to ChatGPT, and that is so far from the truth.
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. And even I just, one thing that came up to mind is last week we got a question in the community, are custom GPT that, which both you and me responded to, right? And the premise is exactly what you are explaining right now. You were talking about your process, which is very well defined, where you were learning the skill yourself, really becoming a master copywriter. And then you use that to turn it into custom GPT. And you mentioned it has 20 files. So it's a pretty complex custom GPTs. And of course, that then you can sell to other people. But like you also said, there are a lot of these custom GPTs where it's like, speak like Alex Hermosi and give me his headlines. And of course, they don't work, right? They are probably a little bit better than normal ChatGPT, especially if you're using the names of people that are very well known because ChatGPT has access to them, but they have their own limitations. And I think you so beautifully presented that what I'm trying to teach people all the time is like, it's possible to sell products and really succeed in the AI industry, but this is not a quick hack industry, a shiny object. You need to really take your skill, which is outside, should live outside of AI, polish
Mhm.
it, and then bring that skill to AI, and that the AI will put it on steroids, right? Times 10, times 100, right? But if
Yeah,
same side of that coin, if you're going to bring half as skilled, then you're going to be scaling all of that inefficiencies.
exactly. I love how you put that. And you're so correct in that you have to still bring the skill. That is what makes AI
Mm.
powerful, not just itself in and of itself, but the fact that what I put into it, it's sort of like garbage in, garbage out. If you put good stuff into it, you will get phenomenal results. And I take that for granted sometimes because I have been in copywriting for 6 years now. And so I have tons of swipe files. I have tons of the frameworks of direct response copywriting. So what I've said in the voice print system is, well, it's programmed with 75 years of direct response copywriting because I've been studying copywriting for 6 years, and I
Mm.
have, you know, Clayton Makepeace's bullet form, like 21 bullet formulas, and I have headlines, Eugene Schwartz and Gary Bencivenga and Gary Halbert. Like I have all the greats that can be baked into it. Whereas, your average business owner doesn't know who those people are. They don't need to because their goal in life is not to become a master copywriter. And it shouldn't be. They should be, whatever they're an expert at. But that's where the custom GPTs, then, if they're programmed by somebody that understands direct response copywriting, it's like the perfect deadly weapon, I think.
Mm.
Because then
Mm.
it's programmed with their voice, but it's also baked in with the direct response principles that are actually going to make it convert and get sales. And that's the difference.
Yeah, 100%. And just for people to know, how are you getting the clients? Because I think a lot of people will watch this, they will say, okay, I'm going to learn how to build this amazing custom GPT, but I don't know where to sell it. And I want to a little bit understand your approach of how do you get those clients?
Yeah, totally. So I think getting clients is probably the biggest challenge of any service provider. It
Mm.
always was as a copywriter too. There's a couple methods that have been extremely profitable for me. Referrals is always one way, but it's not necessarily predictable. So for me, one of the biggest things I've done was what I call like get paid to get clients. And that is you could speak in groups for free or get paid to speak in groups. And what I did a lot of times is I would be paid as a copy consultant for group coaching programs or masterminds. So a coach, the lead coach, would hire me to come in either once a month or once a week to do copy critiques or training on copywriting, or just be present in their Slack or Facebook group or school group or whatever to provide copy critiques. It's pretty easy to get into stuff like that. Like you don't have to be super smart or like an amazing copywriter to do it because most people know nothing about copywriting. So, um, I
Although you
started
should
doing that.
master the skill, right? You should,
Yes, you should
just
be
for
good at it.
everybody listening
I
here.
think, but most people, most copywriters that I talk to, they are good, but they don't realize how good they are because they just compare themselves to like the Alex Hormozis of the world.
No, fair
So
enough.
yes, be good at what you do. Don't half-ass it. But also realize that you're comparing yourself to maybe A-list copywriters versus like your average business owner that doesn't know as much. But yes, know your stuff, take courses, do all that good stuff. And then provide a ton of value. And that's all I did. I would provide a ton of value. I have more testimonials than I could count of people who said, they paid 15 or $20,000 to be part of a mastermind. And they said the one thing I got out of it was you. And I'm not even the leader. Like I was just the copy person that they could come to, that they had access to. And, it's relatively inexpensive for a coach to pay me to be in their group monthly and then to tack that on as value for all the participants. So basically, I would get paid every month to be inside the group and to be giving value. And then people would then hire me. They'd get to ask their questions in the group, but they'd be like, oh, I just want you to do it for me. Like, can I hire you to do this, or this, or whatever? So that alone made multi six figures, just that strategy. And then also speaking for free. There's nothing wrong with going into a group and doing like a one-time copywriting training or messaging training or something like that. You can also get clients that way. And I've done that. That's how I kicked off selling the GPT teams, was because I presented it for a mastermind and that I sold my first dozen or so directly from that one, like 10 or 15-minute presentation, just showing people. I showed them, and that was key, I believe, because going back to your question of like, why aren't people more into custom GPTs? It's because they don't understand the power of the custom GPTs. They don't get it. So if you can show them, as soon as I showed people, shared my screen and was showing them, okay, here's how, because the other thing that we haven't even talked about with custom GPTs is that, and why I call it a team, is that they interact with each other. You can be in one chat stream and now even one project, and you can call in different GPTs. So, like, once you create, say, your sales page with your sales page specialist, you then call in your email copywriter and it knows everything from that conversation already. So you're not copying and pasting. You're not trying to, we all have like a bajillion Google Docs of information from different chat conversations. You're not doing that. You just pull in, you tag the custom GPT that you want, just like you would tag a team member and be like, okay, you get to write emails now. And then you write the emails, and then you take that email content and you tag your social content creator and you create your social content all in the same chat conversation. So again, saving time, you're not messing around trying to find where you've saved such and such conversation or whatever. It's all right there. And the output is really minimal editing compared to basic chat GPT. So you're not spending a ton of time rewriting it at the end. You just get to take the content and pretty much run with it, a few small tweaks, maybe deleting an M dash here and there. Um, if it sneaks it in, not listening to its instructions. But yeah, I mean, I think they're just so powerful. So when I showed people what they could do, they're like, oh, this is amazing and I need that. So that's what I would say to people. If, learn the skill, master the skill, use the GPTs yourself if this is something that you're interested in, use them and then bundle them. You could sell them, as one-offs, but if you're doing the customization like what I do, where I voice train them and bring in the copywriting training, it just made more sense for me to have an all-inclusive team, and sell it as a team and a whole system. And yeah, I mean, business owners just love it. It's custom GPTs definitely aren't dead. It's just how you're describing it. And I think I said this on that post that you referenced is like, we know this in copywriting, and sometimes we miss it ourselves as marketers and copywriters, is like people don't care about the features. They don't really care how they're going to get from point A to point B. It's like if you have to go catch a flight at the airport, do you care if you take a shuttle, take an Uber, and the Uber is a Prius? Do you care if it's your spouse driving you in the minivan? Like, no, you don't care the vehicle that gets you to the airport to make your flight on time. And the vehicle is custom GPTs. So nobody cares about custom GPTs. It's like, what result are you getting for them? You know the vehicle, you know how powerful it is. So really, it's just been this. I know we've talked about this too, of like how you talk about it and explain it really matters, without getting nerdy into custom GPTs themselves, but just saying like, look, I can get you this result where you save time, where you make more money because the copy actually converts and it sounds like you instead of sounding like ChatGPT garbage. So if you're focused more on the benefits and the results that they get versus the fact that it's a custom GPT, I think you do far better in selling it.
Mm. Especially because people like you and me can get very techy and nerdy, and we are so excited about all the cool stuff we're building. But then, like you said, I mean, I just want to recap some of the things that you said because I think are important. Number one, build systems, right? Build end-to-end solutions to a problem because people at the end don't care about how you're going to solve their problem as long as you're going to solve their problem fast and cheaper than their existing state, right? And I think three things that I want to also reiterate here because you put it so nicely. I think we always overthink how to find clients, and then we don't do anything. We don't go, we don't want to do a free workshop, we don't want to do outreach, we don't want to speak with people, and then we come home and then we're like, oh, nobody's finding me, right? Because you did mention referrals, and I mean, you and me partner up in the past, so I'm getting referrals from people, which is great, but like you said, they're unpredictable. And I feel the thing that you mentioned afterwards, which is this, go and speak for free, show your expertise to people, and then the next time the same people come and they ask you, hey, can you speak for me for free, say, hey, I'm charging this small amount of money, right? So I really love that because pay to learn and pay to find your market. I would even say it's awesome. I haven't even considered this, and I feel like in communities like ours and others, there is so much potential. If somebody comes to me as a community owner and says, hey, I have this amazing skill and I would like to share it with the world. Can we organize a call? Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's essentially you're creating content for them, right? So you really outline the process so clearly. You build the GPT, you learn the skill. Okay, I forgot about this one. You learn the
Yeah.
skill, you build the GPTs, and then you just show people what they can do.
Just give value, and then people will see that it's amazing.
Mm, I love that. And one thing that I want to return back, and this is my personal interest here, is you mentioned that you're writing novels with Custom GPT. Is this Custom GPT part of the voice print, or is another one that you develop based on the learning afterwards?
It's separate
Mm,
from that, and I've done a handful
damn.
outside beyond the voice print system for me personally, um, because there were certain things that I wanted to be able to do, like write a book. And yeah, I just once I had created the teams, I was like, huh, I wonder if it was just me getting curious, being like, hey, I wonder if I could create what I call the book bot and have it write for me. So the voice print system itself is three strategists and five copywriters. So it's a marketing mentor. So think business coach, market researcher, and a data analyst. Those are your three strategists. And then your five copywriters are ads, emails, social content, short video scripts, and sales page
Basically
specialists. So
everything
those are your
a
five.
business owner needs, right? Everything a small
Exactly,
business owner needs.
without overwhelming them.
Mm, mm,
That's like again back to that like minimal viable. We think like, oh, we need to over give value, value, value. And yes, like give value, but you don't want to overwhelm people with 50 GPTs that they're never going to use. I wanted them to have a core set that they would get massive value out of right away. The funny thing is, I thought the copywriting ones would be people's favorite, but actually, as I've talked to more and more of my clients that have the installs, their favorite is the marketing mentor, which I
That's
think is
interesting.
just great. And it's loaded with some of the great marketers of all time, their frameworks like the 80/20 principle and um yeah, it's got some really cool stuff baked in. And then, of course, you're looking at you bring in you and your business and what kind of business. Like you would have fun with it too, of like, okay, here's the rebelpreneur way, like 4 hours a day max. Here's the kind of business I want. Because that's the thing. Like, I think one thing that's frustrating over time as an entrepreneur is everybody's selling their thing, right? And it's like, it's YouTube is the thing, it's Pinterest is the thing, it's everybody has found what works for them and then they sell that. And that's great. But it doesn't mean that it's going to work for everyone.
Mm,
Some people think all day, every day, low ticket is the way to go. Some people are like, that's a waste of time. Like, just do high ticket all day, every day. Just do YouTube, just do TikTok, whatever. But and all those things work. But the thing is, you are unique, your business is unique. And that's where the marketing mentor can really come in. And you can say, I only want to work 4 hours a day. And I want this, 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 and this. And my marketing mentor is programmed with my Enneagram and my human design and how I function. Like I don't work beyond when my daughter's at school. And I try to work very little in the summer. And so I want to build a business that fits that and isn't me being on calls 6 or 8 hours a day. Especially as like a writer, most service providers are introverts, so we don't really want to be on calls, have a business that's built on that, right? So you get specialized business coaching based on, some of the frameworks of Ben Hardy, Dan Sullivan, Alex Hormozy, like guys who you would never get a conversation with probably unless you were paying tens of thousands of dollars.
mm,
And again, they may or may not be taking into account who you are as a person and what kind of business you have.
mm.
So, yeah, I just think and you know this from using ChatGPT prompts, getting customized solutions for workout programs or meal plans or travel plans. This is like a whole new level of customization for your business and a business that, you run it, not the other way around.
I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, it's everything. It's about this customization and personalization because what works for me might not work for you. I like to jump on these calls, but there were times after I quit my job that I didn't want to jump on calls with people, you know? Like you said, I was like,
Mhm.
I had too many calls in my corporate, now no calls. And same for video. I feel like the thing that you were kind of alluring to was this: everything works if you can be consistent for a long period of time, but you personally can't be consistent at everything. I can't be consistent at writing on LinkedIn because it's killing me, right? So at some point I just stopped. LinkedIn is taking all the life away from me, and I can't explain this,
I've
right?
been there.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I know it could work and it's great in AI, but I just every time I was dreading to do it. So back to your points. I think it makes a lot of sense why marketing strategist is the most popular one, because I feel most people still use ChatGPT as a guide, a coach, a mentor, and so on and so forth. But the problem is that they're using the regular version, and you tried my no BS task assassin, so you know that what you can do. You did develop your marketing strategy, and those ones really give you exactly what you need to hear instead of just this general advice. Oh yeah, YouTube is great, and then you say, oh, my video flopped, and then the next message is, oh yeah, it makes sense that the video flopped, but you just told me that the video the video will be viral, right?
It will
So
always be so encouraging. Oh yeah, Pinterest is a great idea. And then you're going on like all these rabbit trails over and over because ChatGPT just keeps agreeing with whatever it's all how you ask it too, because it's gonna agree with you
mhm. And
instead of challenge you.
how do you challenge the people pleasing in ChatGPT, this people pleasing part that it has?
Um, sometimes I really chastise it. I'm like, don't just agree with me. I want you to be brutally honest right now. And then that's what I was telling you earlier. I came up with the phrase chat slapped because it's like when ChatGPT tells you the truth and it's kind of like a slap in the face, but you're like, okay, that hurt a little bit, but it's actually true. And I need to then change how I'm doing things. So I have, you know, ChatGPT is nice for the ego boost sometimes. So sometimes it's like, oh, I needed that little lift. But then other times I'm like, no, I really need you to be honest right now. Um, and you can say things like, my ability to feed my family depends on this answer, so don't BS me.
Mm.
And but that again, that's you taking initiative and you say like telling chat, be brutally honest, don't hold back. This is important and like threatening it. That's another thing I've learned, as you know, like threaten, don't be kind to ChatGPT. It gives you better results if you threaten it and say like, no, my life depends on this. So don't give me crappy business advice because I really need to know, should I do this or should I do this and why? That's another question to ask is why. Make it give a pro and con defense for like each thing. And then, still use your brain. And I believe in intuition. So I think that it's still a great tool, but at the end of the day, you still are the person who's taking the actions and living out the consequences of whatever action you do take. So use your brain as you're using AI. And yeah, when you put the two together, it's limitless. I mean, I really think our potential now is mind blowing
And
when you use AI.
it's only getting stronger day after day. On this note, I'm also a little bit cautious of the time that we have here. So I want to ask you maybe a final question, or maybe we'll have one more afterwards. Let's see how the conversation goes. But essentially, what are the AI plans for the future? Now we talked what you did, what you're doing at the moment, which is writing the book. What are the plans in the future? I know we discussed this privately a lot, but I would like also to share with others because I feel it will inspire a lot of them.
Yeah, totally. I think, like I said before, AI is here to stay. I'm super interested right now in apps, and I have been for a while. It's just become much easier to build an app now. And, as much as I'm hesitant to, I think our phones are a very good tool.
Mm.
We can become the tool if we're not careful. I don't use social media. I stopped scrolling August 8th, 2017, and I'm like very firm on that. Um, so I'm careful about my phone usage, but I think apps are here to stay, and it's an incredible way to reach people in a convenient place. Because for me, for example, I don't want to have a Facebook group or something because I don't want to be on Facebook. So um, that's really where I see it going. I see ChatGPT is here to stay. I'm definitely going to keep utilizing custom GPTs, and they're just going to get better and better and better. And the outputs are going to keep getting better. So, for sure, utilize that. And then with where apps are going, using even something simple like Google AI Studio, it's really just if you're in business, you solve problems. So look at what problems people have and then create a solution. And the solution can be very simple. Not all apps are super complex. Like I was seeing something the other day that I forget what it's called, but it was literally like every time you open Instagram, it forces you to breathe for 3 seconds. It's like a mindfulness app or something. And they're making millions. Like, how simple is that? Where like you just
Mm.
can't open your app and it forces you to like take a deep breath and refocus yourself because that we all know that app usage, social media usage is forget what it is. Like the average person is like 6 to 8 hours a day.
Yeah,
It's just
crazy.
wild to me.
Wow.
So it's so simple. Like that concept is so simple. So just look around and see like whether it's for your own life, like you have utilized ChatGPT to solve a lot of problems in your own life. So what problems are you encountering? What takes too much time? And how can you leverage AI, whether it's ChatGPT or something else, to make it better so you have more time? I mean, ultimately, we're here to solve problems. We're here to make the world a better place. And if we can save ourselves time and energy, then that means we have time and energy for the things that matter, like our kids and our loved ones and travel, like whatever it is for you, whatever that freedom looks like for you. Um, do it for yourself and then help other people live that life too. And you'll be set.
Mhm. Thank you very much, Dawn. I wanted to ask at the end any final thoughts for people, but I feel this last sentence just encapsulated everything that I was expecting from the answer. As I said before, thanks so much for taking the time. I'm super happy that you were my first guest because you are an inspiration to me, and I really hope that we will keep inspiring other people around us in Rebelpreneurs and beyond. So thanks a lot, Dawn, and yeah, let's go.
Thank you. Let's go.